Welcome back, guys. Well, we have been watching the market here in Florida, Southwest Florida specifically, but the state as a whole on this channel for over a year. I was one of the first guys coming out and saying, hey, we're having a massive inventory buildup. Things are not looking good last fall, and I said that come the spring, there's going to be a ton more inventory thrown on the market that could cause price softening, cause price corrections, cause it to spin into a buyer's market. And people told me I was insane, and that's exactly what happened. And I'm not a prophet. I just read, you see the data. That's our prime selling season. If we already have too much inventory in the holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving, well, when we get to the first of the year, we're going to see a real inventory dump. And that's exactly what happened. And it's kind of played out less severe than I thought it would. There have not been significant price declines really here or across the state. Don't get me wrong, prices are down from the top, but with the amount of inventory that's on the market, it hasn't moved the needle to the degree that some people would have liked to see. I don't know if that's going to happen. I do know it is easier as buyers now in Southwest Florida and most of the state as a whole to negotiate, get a better deal. But at that time, I was really the only one saying this. People were calling me crazy. Now it's kind of well known, Florida's problems. The news media has picked up on our condo situation. They're picking up on our inventory situation. Now some media is actually calling for potential significant price declines, price corrections, as they call them. Well, I'd argue that many of these areas are already in price corrections, and for a variety of reasons. Stuff is unaffordable, the insurance is through the roof, your taxes are going up. People are leaving the state because they're aging out of the state. That's one big thing that gets lost here is a lot of our population is aging out of the state. They're hitting an age, they bought in 2004. They're in their 70s, and some of them are in their 90s now. They're going back up north to be with family. It's certainly not easy for family to come here and be with them because of the prices and the job market in some areas. So that's a huge portion of this. Is not only is it the rising insurance rates, the condo fees, the risk of flood, they don't want to get it under a hurricane, the taxes going up. It's just that it's time to go. Unfortunately, people are living longer and they are getting to the point where they need to be taken care of. So that's a huge portion of our inventory hitting the market as well. But I want to dive into some of these articles and see what you guys think in the comments below, because I think it's very interesting that now this is kind of blown up mainstream. The first one is from fastcompany.com. Report these 15 housing markets have the highest risk for a home price correction. You guys want to guess where most of them are? 13 of the 15 are labeled at risk in Florida. This is done by a study by Parcel Labs, and I'll link all this in the description, guys, if you want to dive into all this. I don't know about some of their methodology, but it's interesting to take a look and read it. We are also going to hop over to Fox Business, who says, looking to buy a house? These 3 cold markets could offer a bargain. These are considered the coldest housing markets in the U.S. that may offer buyers a deal. And where are those 3 coldest housing markets? Lake Charles, Louisiana, was the coldest metro in the country, followed by Houma, Louisiana, Panama City, Florida, and Punta Gorda, Florida. These are 5. You said 3. This is 5. These 3 cold markets could offer a bargain. You listed 5. Now you got me all screwed up on my video, guys. Punta Gorda, Florida, Naples, Florida. Who would have thought? I mean, I'm shocked. I would have never guessed. Panama City, too, guys. I don't know. Never been up there, but apparently it's one of the coldest markets. But Punta Gorda and Naples, Florida, guys. Big shocker. No shocker here, obviously. I wonder when they say Punta Gorda, it's metro, because when they study the Punta Gorda metro, they don't just consider the city of Punta Gorda. That's Charlotte County is basically, in all the data, when we look at the data, I say the Punta Gorda MSA includes all of Charlotte County. And Naples, I'm wondering if that includes just Naples or all of Collier County, because it certainly does for Punta Gorda. So I don't know which they're gauging here. The coldest markets can currently be found in the South, particularly along the Gulf in states like Texas, Florida, Louisiana, the report shows. In fact, among the 20 coldest housing markets in the country, 15 are located in Texas, Florida, and Louisiana. So what do they consider cold housing markets? Cold housing markets are places where houses may be listed for more than a year, leading to a substantial drop in list prices amid lethargic consumer demand. Now, if you guys have watched my channel for a while, you've seen these massive price decreases. I've done videos on them, $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 off some of the asking prices on these homes, and the $100,000 drops are on like $400,000, $500,000 houses. They're not even like in the millions, you know what I mean? And in Charlotte County, I've showed this. I see it's happening in Naples as well. Stuff has been on the market for a very long time. It's interesting that they categorize it by things being listed as more than a year, because if you were to say to somebody, hey, this market's cold, it's cold and it's hot. It's very weird right now. Like Charlotte County had one of their best sales months recently in 2 years. We sold more houses here in the Punta Gorda MSA than we have since 2022, but I do believe that's because they're considered a better deal. So cold, yes, more houses are staying on the market. They're taking longer to sell. Prices are softening quite a bit. Hot in the fact that some people have jumped in this season and taken advantage of that. What's cool in Texas? We got coolest cities were Brownsville, El Paso, and Corpus Christi. And guys, this is an analysis that was done by Realtor.com. It was based on a number of factors. Aside from that, I guess it includes days on market, inventory changes, price fluctuations, and unique listing pages views for property. I think that's a waste. Now, obviously, this is a stark contrast to what was going on in all these markets previously. Demand was so strong at one point and inventory so low that at the height of the market, some buyers waived home inspections and appraisals or paid hundreds of thousands over the asking price. I can tell you guys, it wasn't just some buyers. There's a lot of buyers. There's a lot of buyers. I didn't deal with this. I never endorsed this. I actually pulled myself away from the buyer side of things for almost a year and a half. Did I sell listings? Absolutely. I listed houses. You know what? I never got both sides. But, I mean, this is crazy. Now, what I hate about this is a lot of agents now are like, wow, I never waived the inspection, never waived the appraisal. And 2 years ago, they were telling everybody to do it. Like, you know, you got to stand on some, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that flip-flop stuff. You know, oh, if you want to win the bid, you better waive appraisals and you better waive inspections and you better go over ask to win the house. And then 2 years later, you're posting online, it's a terrible idea. Like, I don't know, that's both sides of the mouth kind of stuff. That pisses me off sometimes. But I didn't take part in this, but it absolutely happened. I was on the other end. I saw, we had bidding wars come in, houses selling 12 hours, over ask, everybody waiving everything. That's just how it was. Wasn't me on the other end, but I never endorsed this. And that's some of the worst cases, guys. When you paid hundreds of thousands of dollars over ask and now the value has declined in 2 years, that's tough. That's tough, and I feel for these people. So that's all stopped. All the craziness here has not gone. None of that stuff's been going on here. I do hear it in the Northeast all the time still, but not here in Florida. So, you know, when you look at, they have the housing affordability scale here. This is crazy. This is another thing I talk about. I'm glad they put this on here. It's from the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. Look at how much of a percentage of your income just from 2 years ago, when it was 34%, you could afford a home on 34% of your income. It is now, it's skyrocketed at one point to 46%. It's now at 42% of your median income. And I'm pretty sure that's gross, guys. So really, if you consider net, it's much higher than that. It doesn't specify here, but generally they always go by gross to make it not look as bad. So 42% of your gross income is really going to be, at the end of the day, half your pay net is going to go to housing. That's horrendous. That can't continue. And that's why in Florida we are seeing such a stagnating market around certain areas, because it's just so unaffordable. And they do go on to blame mortgage rates like everybody does. Average rate on a 30-year loan, they were saying when this was printed, was 6.86. That's down from the peak of 7.79%. It's the price, guys. We know it's the price. And honestly, guys, these interest rate hikes are doing exactly what they were meant to do. At the very least, they have slowed the market here where we have abundance of supply, and stagnated prices, if not outright declined them in some areas. That's what they're supposed to do. I know people are talking about a potential rate cut coming up. I think it would be a very stupid idea, but even if they do, even if they clip 25 BPS off, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to make a big difference. When you run these mortgage numbers and you take 1% off, the monthly payment, depending on the loan, is so minuscule, they would need to do a lot more than that. You know, 0.25% isn't going to move the needle on anyone buying a house or a car. Will it be helpful? Sure, but it's not going to get anybody off the fence that was on the fence. Back to the 15 housing markets with the highest risk for home price correction. Now, as you guys can see, most of these in Florida, except for Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Daphne, Alabama here. Now we're going to take a look at the actual Parcel Lab study, but it is worth noting before we go in the methodology. The company pulled data for the 1,000 largest U.S. housing markets using their API. It excluded small markets with fewer than 500 home sales or 500 active listings. It only included markets where demand is falling on a 3-month moving average year over year by more than 10%. It only included markets where supply is increasing by more than that 10%. In order to be included, the market had to have more than 35% of its inventory see price reductions. It only included markets that were up 50% still from their previous March of 2020 high, and it excluded markets like Austin, where prices have already fallen over 5% from their peak. That's already a declining market. They're trying to predict here what might be next. This is an article from Parcel Labs. It's actually a study, and it's titled "Trouble in the Sunshine State, Florida Dominates List of At-Risk Housing Markets." This was just published on June 26th. Now, I don't know how I feel about this statement. Traditionally, a research project of this scope would require weeks of effort, multiple disparate data sets, and a team of data engineers and analysts, but the Parcel Labs API enabled us to complete this comprehensive analysis in just one day. As a numbers guy, that was a little quick. Okay. Now, just checking the markets with the highest supply and demand imbalances, and what that means, guys, is there's way more supply than there is demand. Pensacola, Florida, taking the lead with a 52% supply increase and a 28% demand decrease. And what's up next? Northport, Florida, plus 50% supply, negative 18% demand. Naples is in third. This is out of the 1,000. This is not out of just the 15. This is out of the 1,000 they studied from what they're saying. Naples is in third, Port St. Lucie, Florida in fourth, and Palm Bay, Florida in fifth. And as far as the top 5 markets with the highest percentage of price cuts, Northport, Florida leading the way with 52% of listings having price cuts. Surprisingly, Tampa right behind it with 49% of listings having price cuts. Now, this is interesting because Tampa's been very hot. We did see a very big buildup in inventory in Tampa recently, but to have 50% of their listings have price cuts is surprising to me. Naples, not shocking me or anyone else who's been following the channel. You guys saw my Naples report a few weeks back. 46% having price cuts. All their listings, almost half. Myrtle Beach rounds out fourth, and Palm Bay rounds out fifth, with 44% of listings having price cuts. Now, before we jump the gun, guys, I do have to go into the 11 markets starting to show initial price declines. Lakeland, Florida leading the way. It's up 51% since 2020 and currently only down 4.63% from peak. So that's not that big of a drop. The numbers only get lower the further down you go. Like when you get down to Orlando, Orlando's up 56.10% from 2020, only down 0.31% from peak. So is that even a price correction? Is that a price decline? That's a rounding error to me on something like that. Now, Lakeland up top, where we're at negative 4% from peak, that's noticeable. That is worth putting in there. But even with all this inventory, even with all of these price cuts, the prices here are still not dramatically falling. So is this the beginning of that, or is this what the end result's going to be? We don't know. We're all here trying to figure that out and following along. And even 4 markets that they listed have had no decline. So Palm Bay was one of the ones they listed. It's up 93% since 2020. That's insanity. It's up almost 100% since 2020. There's been no decline. Naples is up 90% since 2020. There's been no decline. No measurable decline according to them. That's wild. So this chart is the percentage of inventory with price reductions. And you can see the USA down here. This is the entire country. And the Florida data starts here. So Miami kind of low, higher than the rest of the country, but Northport up here at the top, guys. Now this is interesting. They're showing what percentage of new listings are coming from new construction in some markets here. Like you can see Miami here, very low, looks like 2.5%. And all the way at the other end, you have Myrtle Beach and Ocala skyrocketing. So 20% of all the listings in Ocala are coming from new construction. That's interesting. As you guys know, here in Southwest Florida, new construction is pretty much the best game in town right now. It is pushing resale values down quite considerably because they are also dropping their asking prices, and your insurance is going to be cheaper. You're going to get a brand new house. So I'd be interested to see, with this is May's data, with 20% of all the listings in Ocala being new construction, what that's going to do to their resale market. I don't think the resale market's going to hold up very well when you have that many new construction listings hitting the market. especially if they're priced competitively. And right in the middle, guys, Northport, Florida, 10%. 10% of all the listings, according to this, in Northport, Florida, new construction. I'd argue it's higher than that from what I've seen, but you know, I just got to go on what they say, the data they compiled in a day. So that is why I've pushed Northport as kind of being one of the areas that I think is gonna handle this price wise softer. That's just what I've been seeing, and you know, there's a lot of new construction going on in Northport, in Welland Park, all over the city of Northport. So that is just going to push over it. Once builders start dropping their prices, it just brings that's who starts it, guys. It's going to bring the rest of the market down. And I got to tell you, there are some very competitive brand new home listings in Northport. So with what I would see for resale. And the pushback I always get on new construction is, well, location, location, location. Well, Northport's not that big. And honestly, guys, that's kind of going out the window. Like, a perfect location is great for real estate. Like, if you're next to the beach, you're close to the beach, I get it. If you're near a major shopping area, but with the advent of the internet and people going remote and everyone ordering online, and every other block is a new strip mall with a grocer, it's not that important now. People are going to go for the better deal over location generally, especially in an area the size of Northport. Now, in their conclusion, it's worth noting, guys, what are they blaming this on? They're saying this is caused most likely by unsustainable price appreciation since the pandemic. Everybody's priced out. Florida's become way too expensive, and so have these other markets. Recent spikes in home insurance premiums, as we all know, that's been causing issues. Rising property taxes. And, you know, that's important with the insurance and the rising property taxes, because you need to know that your payment's going to go up on your house. It's never going to stay the same. People tell you, you know, you lock in your payment when you buy, and your rent's always going up, your rent's always going up. Well, sometimes it makes more sense to rent, guys. It's not always a great idea to buy for some people, and I don't think it's worth throwing that notion out that everyone has to own a house because you get a fixed payment. You don't. You're seeing right here how quickly that can change. It's not just Florida, it's happening across the entire country. People whose insurance premiums are up a couple thousand and their taxes are up maybe a couple thousand, well, then your mortgage is up potentially hundreds of dollars a month. And that, you know, you have got to be cognizant of that no matter where you're buying, that could potentially occur. And this is what we're seeing here. Policy changes, most notably the implementation of the new condo assessment fees. So yes, that is certainly causing our condo inventory to rise, but not our single family inventory. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Give me a like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.